What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Tanzer. Welcome back to my channel. In today's upload, I will be rating your guys' team again. This is episode 2. You guys showed a lot of support in episode 1, so here we are with episode 2. And if you guys are wondering, yo, how can one of my teams be rated in one of these episodes? All you have to do is click on the Discord link down below. It will also be on the screen. Then once you're in my Discord, we have a team rating section. All you have to do is send a screenshot of your team with how much MT you have. And then with that being said, you might be one of my future uploads. But I'm going to stop talking now. Let's get into rating our very first team. All right, guys, so here is our very first team that we are going to rate. He said in the Discord that he has 135,000 MT to work with. So let's get right into this rating. Honestly, off the rip, this team does not look bad at all, especially the starting unit is really not that bad of a lineup. To start things off, I honestly think this team's like a 7 out of 10. You know, it's definitely not anything lower than that, but it could definitely be improved. So the first thing that I would do, honestly, I see on the bench he has Scottie Pippen. I would probably just move Tim Thomas to the bench shooting guard position. And then for your starting shooting guard, I would definitely recommend buying Jonathan Bender, guys. Like, he literally, if you don't have Jonathan Bender on your team as your starter or at least bench shooting guard, then I don't know what you're doing, because he's like 7,000 MT, maybe even cheaper now, and he's literally 7 feet tall. He plays the shooting guard position. Jonathan Bender should be on everyone's squad. So put Tim Thomas to the bench, Jonathan Bender in the starting lineup. Then Moses Malone, I would probably move him to your backup small forward as well, because Kenyon Martin is only 6'9". That is unfortunately too short nowadays, man. There's just too many tall players at the small forward position. And then I would probably buy like endgame Anthony Davis or Kevin Garnett. I mean, anyone else at that position like Wemby or Chris Sapps or Bol is better. Or if you want height, you could even get like an Alex Pokusevski. You know what I mean? He's really cheap and he's 7 feet tall. Then for your bench, I would definitely get rid of Ralph Sampson for your center backup position. I think Mark Eaton is a good choice. He's like 40K, 50K MT, and he's 7'5". So that is a way bigger center, and that would help you out a lot. But with that being said, this team is not that bad. I'll put a little screenshot on the screen right now. This is what I think that you should do with your team. And if you do this, your team will definitely be like an 8 out of 10, but this is still a pretty good squad. All right, guys, here is our second team we're going to be rating by Chris the Gamer 01. And to start things off, this team looks really solid, and he only has 10,000 MT to work with. So if you want me to be honest, for only 10,000 MT to work with, I honestly think this team is pretty spot on like the best option that you could build with around that price. Lamar Odom is one of the best, I'm not going to say budget, but like one of the best non-endgame point guards in the game. So I like that as your starting point guard. Jonathan Bender, you guys know me. I love Jonathan Bender. I think that's good. Interdimensional Bol as your starting 3 is always solid since he is 7'2". Then George Mirasan and Manu Bol as your power forward and centers. They're both 7'7". So his starting lineup is honestly spot on. I have nothing to change with his starting lineup. His bench unit, out of position, Jokic, McGrady, Pokusevski, Taco Fall, and Yao Ming. He has some height. It could be taller, but honestly, guys, I don't have much to say that he could upgrade for only 10,000 MT. So honestly, Chris the Gamer, I have no really updates for you, bro, because I think you built the best team with what you have at the moment. You worked with what you got, and this is the best team you got. All right, moving over to team number 3, we have my boy Guam Shark Boy. YouTube is his name. From the current looks of the lineup, I already really don't like that starting backcourt. I will get into it why, but from the look of this, his bench looks like it needs a lot of work as well. Since 2K just has so much high standards now, since it is like the end of the year, I honestly have to give this team like a high, like 6 out of 10 max. Definitely not a 7 out of 10, because the last teams I said were a 7 out of 10. So I think this team is a little, you know, not as good as the looks of it compared to the last one. So I have to give this lineup a 6 out of 10. I just don't think Devin Booker is a good shooting guard. Like, if you're using that Devin Booker invincible card, I know he's not that bad at all, but he should definitely be a point guard. But you already have a starting point guard. That endgame Vince Carter point guard is a solid card to use, honestly. So what I would do is definitely sell that Devin Booker, because you could actually sell that card and, you know, get some MT back from it. I just don't think he's literally needed in your lineup. Then I would definitely move your Jonathan Bender on the bench to your starting shooting guard position. So just like that, you're getting more height in your starting lineup. You get a 7-footer. Literally every team, I'm literally recommending to put Jonathan Bender. Y'all should be used to it now. You could leave Kevin Durant, Bol, and George Mirasan where they're at. So that way your starting lineup is really not that bad. The shortest person in your lineup is the Vince Carter, but he isn't endgame and he isn't a midget, so you should be good there. Then for your bench, I'm not a fan of your bench at all. I would definitely get rid of Curry and Chris Bosh, and then obviously you need a new shooting guard. So what I would do is probably move your invincible Cade Cunningham to your backup point guard. Unless you're really good with Curry, you could keep him, but I personally like the Cade Cunningham better. I would then move your invincible Scottie Pippen to your backup shooting guard position. That means you need a backup small forward. So I would get like an Alex Pokusevski card. You know, he is like really cheap. He's under 5k MT or 6k MT, I believe, and he is 7 foot tall, so I think he will fit really good on your team. Then I would move your Titans Dirk Nowitzki card to your backup power forward. And then with that being said, you need a new center that's pretty cheap. I would honestly try to get like a Titans Yao Ming. He's going for around 15k, 10k. So I think if you sold your Devin Booker and some other stuff, you could easily get that price to get a Titans Yao Ming on your roster. But with that being said, not that bad of a lineup, bro. I definitely have to give it like, you know, a high 6 out of 10. But here is the team on the screen. This is what I would do with your squad, so definitely take a look at it. I think if you did this, it would make your team way better, man. You know what I mean? That starting lineup is not that bad. It has height, and then your bench also would have height as well, man, because Scottie is not small. Then you have Pokusevski, Dirk, and Yao Ming all over 7 feet tall. I think this would be a pretty solid lineup. Next up for our fourth team, man, this team's already looking pretty solid just from looking at that starting lineup. My boy Stylin13, he only has 11,000 MT to work with, but from that starting lineup, man, it is almost perfect. The only way to make that starting lineup better is to maybe move Sean Bradley to power forward. And for your center position, you would need like a Manute Bol or an endgame Yao Ming or Taco. But honestly, that starting lineup is almost a 10 out of 10. But that bench, honestly, that bench looks a little but for that, honestly, this team still looks like it is like a 8.5 out of 10 in my opinion. So since you only have 11,000 MT to work with, you could just keep your starting lineup how it is. But your bench looks a little clustered and kind of random because your first 3 people on your bench could all play the point guard position. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I think the Kawhi Leonard and that Lamar Odom are both better point guards than the Steph Curry. I know some people cook with this Curry card, guys. Like, I know, but like, you obviously need height, man. You go against these teams right now, especially in August, all these teams are giants. So with that being said, I would definitely move Lamar Odom to your backup point guard position. You could leave Kawhi as your backup shooting guard. Then you could also leave Joel Embiid as your backup power forward and then Mark Eaton as your backup center. That means you need a backup small forward, and I think the best card that you could buy, and you have 11k, so I'm pretty sure you have enough, is the interdimensional Bol. He is 7'2". So with that being said, on the screen, this is what your lineup would be looking like, and this lineup is already looking pretty nice, man. I don't know, that could possibly be like, you know, a 9 out of 10, if not barely close. Then for your small forward, power forward, and center position, they're all over 7 foot tall, man. So that would make your team really good. But honestly, this team's pretty solid, man. Good job. All right, guys, next up we have an interesting lineup, guys, because from the look of his lineup at first, you're like, dang, okay, he's low-key loaded. But at the same time, I don't know, I feel iffy with this lineup, man. So from the first look of it, man, he has a full endgame lineup. He only has 3,900 MT to work with, which is not a lot, literally at all, but he does have endgame Wemby, so you're kind of confused here. So your starting lineup really not that bad, but then when you look at his bench, it is pretty bad. This might be the worst bench that we've seen in this entire video, and that's saying a lot. Just his starting backcourt, you know, he has like one of the worst endgames, Curry, and then he has like one of the worst invincibles ever. So that starting backcourt, the backup backcourt has to change, not the starting backcourt. My bad. I'm talking about the Russell Westbrook and the Steph Curry as your backups. So honestly, bro, since you only have 3k MT, what I would do, since you already have LaMelo starting, you don't need that Julius Erving card at all, and there is a better option for cheaper. You guys know what I'm going to say. So I would sell your endgame Julius Erving. I just checked. He goes for around 10k, 12k. So right there, you're making 10k to 12k MT. You'll have around, you know, 13k, 16k MT. So with that being said, buy Jonathan Bender. He goes for around 7,000 MT. So off the rip, your backcourt, your starting backcourt is better. I also think you should sell Paolo Banchero just because you could get some more MT with him and, you know, maybe buy a budget small forward like a Bol, Pokusevski. But for your sake, I'm assuming you want to keep him, so you could keep him. So you could keep the Paolo Banchero, you could keep the Wemby, and you could keep the Wilt Chamberlain. But I do think if you do want to change your lineup in the future, you're going to have to sell probably your Paolo and your Wilt. But with all that being said, here's what your team would look like. I think it would look a little better, you know, off the rip. Some people might think, oh, I don't have an end game lineup anymore, it's not that good, blah, 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 blah. Trust me, bro, your bench was not that good at all. This is the best I could have done. But honestly, you know, this team is not, I feel like it should be a 7 out of 10 because he has the end game Wemby. You know what I mean? That's like a top 2, maybe the best card in the game. But honestly, I want to give this team like a low 7 out of 10. I think it could just be way better. The bench really just ruins it, man. But honestly, not. But really, it's not that bad of a team at all because that starting lineup is not that bad. So maybe 7 out of 10, maybe, you know, 7.5 out of 10 max. But that's just my opinion. All right, guys. And last but not least, we got my boy Twitch Darksea and his team. He actually has 86,000 MT. So he's like one of the first people in this this video that aren't broke. But his starting lineup this team overall doesn't look bad. It's just kind of random in my opinion from the first look of it. It definitely needs to be some changes. So with that starting lineup, the only people I'll probably keep in that whole starting lineup, I'm not gonna lie, is maybe that Joel Embiid card. I see he has a lot of unauctionable cards in that starting lineup. Any card that I show you that I suggest that you don't need, I would honestly just sell so you have some MT. But since you have 86,000 MT, what I would personally do is get rid of that Steph Curry as you're out of your starting lineup. I would buy maybe like an endgame Magic Johnson. You know, he's one of the best endgame point guard cards and one of the best point guards in the game. He's going for under 50,000 MT. You have 86,000 MT to spend, so I think that is good. And for your starting shooting guard, obviously I'm going to recommend picking up Jonathan Bender for 7,000, 8,000 MT. That is just really good to put into your lineup. I would take interdimensional Bol off your bench, put him to your starting small forward position. Then I would take your Joel Embiid, move him over to your starting power forward position. With that being said, you need a new center. I would probably recommend picking up George Mirasan, the Dark Matter. He's 7'7", one of the best budget. Actually, he is the best budget center in the game. I'm gonna put a little picture on the screen of what I think your team would look like. For your backup point guard, you could leave Ray Allen there. He's actually not that bad of a backup point guard. For your backup shooting guard, I think Shai Gilgeous is just, you know, too tiny. I don't think you need him. You should definitely sell him. Same with that Derrick Rose. I would probably pick up the out of position Kevin Garnett. He is 6'11" and plays the shooting guard position, so that is a perfect backup shooting guard. You can move Kenyon Martin from your starting small forward to your backup small forward. You know, he is kind of tiny, but he is a pretty good invincible to keep off your bench. Then you can move your Anderson Varejao to your backup power forward. That means you need a backup center. You could probably pick up a Titans Yao Ming, you know, for around 15K, or any other budget center. But with that being said, this is what I think your team should look like on the screen right here. I think if you sell a lot of your cards that I said you don't need, you'll have over, you know, around 100K MT, and I think you could purchase this lineup. Not that bad at all. But your team before, honestly, I give it like a 6 out of 10. Just pretty random, but if you upgrade it, I think your team will at least be around a 7 out of 10. So definitely a big upgrade, but this team isn't bad at all, man. You just had to add some height and make it not as random. Woo! I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot to go through, bro. I feel like a coach out here, man, but this is fun to do. I like doing these. But if this video helped you guys out and you want to see more of these in the future, please drop a like. That is a nice way to show it. Like I said, if you want to be in one of these in the future as well, join my Discord, send your screenshots of your team in there. The link is in my description. And if you made it to the very end of the video, comment the word pineapple, yes, pineapple, down below so I know that you're a real one and watch the entire video. Your boy Tanzer. I'll see you all in my next upload. Peace.